Hey, this is my review of the Glock 19X. Just purchased this weapon about 3 weeks ago. Uh, I put probably about 500 rounds through it. Not a single malfunction. Very good weapon. Uh, there's a few things about this Glock that are different from others. I'm going to point out those differences. Obviously, with the Gen 5, we already know that there are some differences, such as the ambidextrous slide lock. The trigger is miles ahead of the Gen 3 and Gen 4s. I've had one guy actually compare it to an Apex trigger, which I don't think he's far off. I think it's a very good trigger, very smooth. This weapon has been cleared. There's no magazine. Checking it now just to make sure. Yep, no round in the chamber. But the feel of the trigger, the break, is very, very comparable to an Apex trigger. And it's very smooth. So I have no complaints on the trigger. You do get the full-size grip like you would on the Glock 17 with a Glock 19 slide. So you do get a bonus there. You get the concealability of the slide itself, plus you get the full-size grip. Now, I've heard several complaints saying, well, that doesn't work for concealability because the grip is going to be your number one factor. Well, I actually conceal it and I use it at work, so I don't have that issue. I just use an appendix carry. I don't imprint as much as some would make you think. So I'm not really seeing that. Now, you do imprint a little bit more because you do have a little bit more of a real estate here to grab a hold to, but you get a full grip. And I found that actually increases my accuracy when shooting the weapon, when firing it. Okay, so take the O-light off here. I actually just got this too. This is a very good light. It's battery it's chargeable as internal battery. Some people don't like it simply for that fact because you can't put the CR batteries in there and change them out. I found that it does work good. Everybody usually has a USB charger, whereas if batteries are scarce, you can pop this thing and charge it, and you don't have to rely on batteries or going somewhere to get them. I mean, I have a stockpile of batteries that I keep for my other lights, but this by far, for 600 lumens, for its size and its capabilities, I'm not disappointed in this light one bit because of its size. It's very compact, very, very adjustable. I know this is a review on the 19X, and I'm reviewing an O-light right now, but you have the ability to slide it back, which keeps carbon buildup from getting on the lens when you're shooting it. So that's another bonus for this light. I really like it, and it's very well reasonably priced. So anyway, back to the 19X. Clearing it. The weapon itself, I actually have not cleaned it since I put rounds through it and checked it out. So just checking it out, you can see from 500 rounds, you can see how much buildup is on there. There's not a lot. So, and I don't really shoot premium ammunition. Mostly what I shoot is going to be probably the Federal range pack, which is not superb ammunition by any stretch of the means. A lot of people like it. A lot of people don't like it. It's mixed reviews. But after about 500 rounds, there's literally, zero malfunctions. I have no complaints with the ammunition or the firearm itself. Now, one thing about this weapon is Glocks prior to this generation, there was a disassembly process and a reassembly process. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with that when you put it back on the slides of the frame. You start here at the back and you slide it up and you lock it. And you're good to go. Well, I'm going to show you something today that I figured out that, is a little bit different. And it's all due to the ambidextrous slide lock right here. So you don't have to start here at the back. You can start back here, or at the front rather. You don't have to start here at the front and the back, front of the frame and the back of the slide. You can start here at the back of the frame with the back of the slide like this.
Excuse me, there is a
and
message
because of the ambidextrous cut right here, you can drop it on just like that, and you're done. I thought that was a pretty cool new thing with this weapon, with Glocks in general, as far as the ambidextrous. And since it's like this with the Gen 5 19X, I would presume that it's like this with the other Gen 5s. I haven't actually tried it. This is my first Gen 5 that I purchased. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool, and I actually stumbled upon that by accident. And you can take it off the same way. It's not, it's more of a, hey, that's pretty cool. Not really a, I mean, but if you're like in a confined space, it may be useful. But I thought that was pretty interesting. So my review of the Glock 19X, I have 0 complaints on it so far. 500 rounds in. No issues. It basically comes with all the bells and whistles that you would want. Now I noticed I did put the extended slide lock on there, so that was, that was a little bit extra. But aside from that, with all the bells and whistles, the basics, the bare basics that you would want on this weapon, it comes with night sights, steel sights, not the cheap Glock sights that everyone hates. And it's usually the first thing to go on a Glock when you purchase one. Anybody who's a serious Glock shooter, or any serious shooter at all, that's the first thing that would go. And that's the first thing that really goes on any Glock that I purchase. Whether it be True Glows or, something else. Not the plastic sights that just scrape up and get knocked off and all that garbage. But this is a very good weapon. I have zero, like I said, I have 0 complaints about it. Some of the differences between that and the generations, yeah, it carries over some of the same features on Gen 4 with the swappable mag release that you can swap around and put it on the left for lefties. But you lose your functionality with magazines that were built prior to Gen 3, which to some people that's not a big deal because they're not using magazines that weren't designed for Gen 4. And for those of you who aren't aware of that, that is going to be the magazines with the cuts on both sides. So if you've got one that's got a cut on one side, that's going to be okay. It'll work with this weapon. But if you swap around the mag release to the other side for to be a lefty, it's not going to work. It's not going to hold it. So for what you get for the money, if you get them, you can get them just decently priced from around $550 and up. I think I found this one for $540, so that wasn't a bad deal at all, not considering what I got. Basically, it comes with 2 19-round mags. Basically, this mag with the extended base plate for the +2 from the 17 to bring it up to 19. You get the match grade. Well, I'm calling it match grade, but Glock calls it the Marksman Barrel. Basically, what it is the, I don't know if you can see it there very well, but right there at the end of the barrel, you basically have a deeper cut for the crown, and it's supposedly better rounded. Yeah, there we go. That's a good shot of it right there. For as far as accuracy, I found it to be very accurate. I could switch between this one and a Glock 19, just a regular 19, and shoot it. And I mean, I basically get the same accuracy. So a lot of times the barrel, 99.9% of the times the barrel is going to be more accurate than the shooter anyway. Anyone that's going, well, I got a match grade barrel, I got a Marksman barrel. Well, I mean, the barrel's great. I mean, that's a great precision barrel, but, a lot of times that's still going to depend a lot more on the shooter and your accuracy. The barrel's going to be a lot more accurate than you anyway. But yeah, Very, very smooth weapon as far as the action. I found that from previous generations, especially the Gen 4, the slide comes back a lot easier. It's a lot easier to pull and release. And, you know, a lot of people might say, well, I love my Gen 4s. Well, Gen 4s are great weapons. But, you know, just being meticulous to detail, when you start pulling the slide back, I feel right there at the break when you get over the barrel right here, you get a little bit of resistance. And, you know, to some people that doesn't matter. They're like, this is still a Glock. It's a Gen 4. It still works fine. I love mine. It has the RTF, which, you know, that's great. I actually sold my Gen 4 a while back, which, you know, I don't regret it. I just sold it. I mean, that's what I do sometimes. You know, I get a weapon, I keep it for a while. If I decide I don't like it, or if I want to go to something else, I will sell it, and I'll buy something else. A lot of people, well, you lose a lot of money. Well, not if you sell to an individual. If you take it to a pawn shop or a gun shop, they're going to give you half the value of the weapon, and you will lose a lot of money. But, you know, there's other venues. I mean, you can sell to people, private sales, and so on and so forth, and you won't lose as much money. To me, it's worth the upgrade. Others may disagree. That's fine. You know, I mean, add to the collection, never sell. I've talked to those guys, and, you know, in some ways, I'm like that myself. With rifles, definitely. I don't sell rifles. I keep my rifles, and I just add to the collection because, you know, you never know. But yeah, as for handguns go, this has got to be my favorite Glock at this point. They also make the Glock 45, model 45, not caliber 45. It's 9mm. Everybody's seen it by now. You know, one big improvement, and another thing that I failed to mention right now, and I'm going to mention at this moment, is that, you know, on my 19s, and I've got a Gen 3, and I've also done polymer 80 builds, I usually stick to and move to the smooth face trigger, which a lot of people prefer that. They don't like the serrated trigger because of the edges. It's a lot harder to you know, to manipulate, moving your finger across it. This comes standard with that, just like on a Glock 17. So you're basically getting a Glock 19 size frame for the slide, but everything below that, internal wise, is going to be for a Glock 17. So another thing I noticed too is the 19s typically have a ridge right here, a tapering right here on this side of the barrel, where I, you know, just from looking at the engineering behind it, it's supposed to enable smoother travel up under the slide when it during the action. But this one has, even though it's 19 size slide and barrel, it has the Glock 17 cut, which is basically flat. It doesn't have that tapering right there. So just a few things on the 19X. Like I said, you know, 500 rounds, 0 malfunctions. That's using, you know, not so great ammunition. I mean, by some standards, I mean, for plinking and range is fine. This is, you know, one thing. Another thing is the little lanyard plug here, and that's a lot of people say, oh, I don't see what the use of that is. And you know, other than aesthetics, it really has no purpose. I just leave it there just because, I mean, it adds, you know, to the uniqueness of the weapon as compared to other Glocks. But, you know, I have to say, you know, this is probably my favorite Glock, aside from my Glock 30, which is chambered in 45 caliber. But that's a story for another time. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Couple of things that I ran across with this weapon. You know, leave me some feedback. If you liked it, like it and subscribe. I do videos, you know, my previous video was, you know, basically political. I do politics and firearms. Those are probably my two things that I keep up with the most. So again, if you liked it, share it, subscribe, and hopefully I'll have more videos coming soon. Again, Glock 19X. If you're in the market for a new Glock, you won't be disappointed with this. It is a very good weapon. Thanks. Have a great day.